It's that sense of community I talked about a lot in the campaign, growing up on the south side of Chicago, where in those days, every child was under the jurisdiction of every single adult on the block. Every single one. So if you messed up down the street in front of Ms. Jones, she'd straighten you out as if you were hers. And then call home, so you get it 2 times. The point was that the adults treated us as if they had a stake in us. And they taught us to understand that being in community meant understanding the stake you had not just in your own dreams and your own struggles, but in your neighbors as well. We so often hear about how hard it is to reach young people. I'm not so sure that's right. I think what they are is hungry for us to pay a little attention to.
It is my pleasure to be here with you this morning, and I want to second Liz's statement regarding the government. Not a bad sermon, especially the short one. That was pretty good. Extraordinary. Got young people disconnected from the workforce and industries that desperately need trained people. But I've got hope because Gerald Chertavian, Europe, and young people here represented are doing extraordinary work.
If you ask children today who their heroes are, you'll get these kind of what I consider skewed images of heroism. Heroism speaks to social justice. Heroism speaks to sacrifice. Gerald Chertavian is that kind of person. That is borne out in Europe and all of the success stories of young people who could have been out in the streets dead, who could be without jobs, but now have hope and future because of this man's vision.
Liz, Rabbi Pesner, and the other speakers, you have not made my job any easier. And so to put one's story in perspective, I'd like to talk for a minute. What does it mean to live on minimum wage? I'll tell you what it means. It means you don't have health insurance. It means you don't eat proper food. It means you can't afford personal hygiene items. Juan Tejada will never fall into that category again. Nor will his children or his children's children. And we have broken, he has broken, we have done it, he has broken the cycle of poverty that benefits our commonwealth for generations to come. One story reminds me of a saying that you'll be familiar with about teaching a man to fish. We at Europe have extended that saying a little bit further. Education without access is what limits and often limits a person's potential. What that person needs is a place at the bank of the river to fish. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is justice. And I'd like to ask you now to take that memory and pay it forward to one of our young adults. Believe in them. Believe in their potential and believe in their dreams. Because that belief, ladies and gentlemen, is empowering and can change lives.
Gerald spoke a moment ago about believing in Boston's young adults. And he's right. It can change a life. It's changed my life. People always seem to take the gift of belief for granted. Everyone has dreams and aspirations, but what separates those who succeed and those who fail is the belief in what you can accomplish.
Thank you so much for inspiring us, and I just want to say in his remarks he said he wanted to have a seat at the table. So in a symbolic move, but a move that I think is really important, you got my seat.
And it strikes me this morning that that's exactly what Year Up has done. You've identified these young people who are so full of potential, but have lost their way in the mega world of low expectations. And you just tap them on the shoulder and you say, but you can come to my house. And so we thank you, Year Up, for opening up the